But before that, a few exciting things in the property market, including signs of stabilisation with modest value rises last month, for most regions. The national property values rising by 0.3% in February. I know, don't throw a party yet. This does mark the most significant increase, though, since January 2023, and suggests that the downturn of last year might be coming to an end. Across major urban centres, Christchurch and Dunedin lead with 0.6%, followed by Hamilton and Auckland, even Wellington, that has been in the doldrums, saw a very modest rise, 0.1%. But it reflects a notable shift from consistent declines. Tauranga, funnily enough, was the only major centre to record a decrease. Also, something that caught my eye, there have been concerns raised about the fairness of multi-office situations in real estate transactions. This is where a real estate agent will bring in a multi-office scenario despite no other offers existing at the time. Property investment coach Steve Goodley, spoke about a friend who had asked to sign a form acknowledging he was in a multi-offer situation with other purchasers also trying to buy the same property, but the other offers did not yet exist. He said the real estate salesperson was holding back his offer because they expected another buyer and wanted to present two together. He said he received hundreds of responses from people who said the same thing had happened to them. And, of course, the big news yesterday, the shock resignation of Reserve Bank Governor Adrian Orr. About time, says many. But what does that mean for homeowners and interest rates? Well, there's the man, look. The man to help us unpack all of this and other issues is market and political commentator Ashley Church. Ash, welcome in. What have we got? Have you got us on speaker, Ash? I can't even hear you, my love.
Can you not hear me at all?
Can't hear you at all. Sorry.
See what I can do.
Because I can hear, you're obviously driving.
Is that any better?
That's good. How are we happy with that, Kelly? That's good.
Sorry, Ash, you sounded fine before, mate, but hey, we got you now.
I know. It's the last time I'm listening to Kelly and taking it to my brother.
Oh, no.
Gotcha.
Kelly's fault. We'll blame Kelly.
Blame me, it's fine.
Blame Kelly.
Whatever,
Hey,
Ash.
mate, good to have you. We can hear you.
Yeah. Hey, you missed all the pearls that I just said.
I did miss them all. Hang on. Market and political commentator Ashley Church. Ash, good afternoon.
How are you? Hey, listen, there's a lot to talk about there, so where do you want to start?
I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm going to start with these very modest value rises last month for most regions. Small, but nevertheless, does it represent, Ash, the first meaningful increase for the year?
Yeah, well, so, you and I have talked about this about 5 times now, so it's happening. It's been happening for a while. I know this is CoreLogic's figures, and they're saying it's a turn for them, but there are other reporting agencies that have had slightly more positive results a little bit further back. It's all in the right direction. And I'll tell you what's interesting about this is that because you could look at this and you could say, hey, look, this is the result of the reduction in interest rates that happened over the last little while. But these figures precede that. So what this tells us is the move's already in the right direction. The Reserve Bank's move to drop the OCR just recently will just be another motivator in the right direction of pushing those prices up as rates come down.
Right. So, but does it indicate renewed buyer confidence? Is it a potential end to the slump?
Well, it's buyer confidence in the sense that prices go up because people are paying more, and if they're paying more, it means that there's confidence to do so. So yes, you can extrapolate from that yes, it does represent buyer confidence. There's a kind of a cycle to these things. There's a I can't remember the term from Shakespeare, a tide in the affairs of men, which basically says, what did you like that? So,
Ash is now bringing in Shakespeare. I love it.
I know. I don't know what that. I've never read any of his books. I just know that phrase. So anyway, so what happens is it starts slowly, prices start going up, and then over time it starts to accelerate, and then you get to this thing called FOMO, where people start to think, oh my God, I better buy quickly or I'm going to miss out, and then prices really start to take off as it feeds on itself. But we're nowhere near that yet. That's a couple of years away.
No. Okay, Ash, I know we haven't, well, I don't think we have spoken about this one, and this is something that I hadn't really thought about until I saw the story, because it's been done on us before. The old multi-offer situation by real estate, in real estate transactions, where a real estate agent will bring in a multi-offer scenario despite possibly no other offers existing at the time. How common is that to be used, do you know, Ash? And is it fair to buyers?
Well, no, it's not, and I'm not sure it is all that common. So let's just sort of examine it first as to why an agent would do it. So what they're trying to do is essentially create the same situation as you've got when you have an auction, which is to create competition. And the reason for that is if people think that they're in competition with somebody else, then the theory is that they'll up the ante when it comes to what they're prepared to pay. Now, I'm not sure what the legislation is with regard to this, but I wouldn't mind betting that if it's not illegal, then it's frowned upon by the Real Estate Institute. So I would be saying that if it's actually happening, and it's happening in the numbers in the article that you referred to the extent that it is, that I'd be saying to people you should be either complaining to the REA or to the Real Estate Institute and dobbing the agent in, because if it's a real multi-offer situation, fair enough, that's perfectly legitimate. But if they're just making it up in order to try and get to extract a higher price from the buyer, that's not on, and that needs to be reported.
Yeah, I mean, surely there would be protections in place to ensure buyers aren't misled by multi-offer situations.
I would have thought.
Yeah. I did read further in where it said that you don't have to sign. You don't have to sign to say that you're in a multi-offer situation. You can just say, no, I'm not obviously going to do that.
That's right. And remember, as I say, remember why they're doing it. It's about the psychology. It's this idea, I want to buy this place. Somebody else is going to come in. They might trump me, so I need to put my best foot forward. So, you know, you can understand why the agent would do it, but if it's not true, it's no different to any other form of misleading sales.
Yeah. You'll love this, Ash. Then what does the shock resignation of your mate, Reserve Bank Governor Adrian Orr, mean for homeowners and interest rates?
Well, let's just take this apart. So you and I, again, have talked about Adrian before and lamented over the fact that he had his contract renewed when the government came into power in 2023, when I think any blind Eddie and his dog knew that he should have been summarily fired and shown the door.
Yep.
And since then, he's continued in his recalcitrant ways of basically driving the economy around. And the reason he's doing that, of course, is because he put the economy where it was in the first place by firstly dropping rates back in 2020, 2021 in order to fuel economic activity at a time when he thought it was going to drop away. And then, of course, when he realised that all he'd done is caused an asset boom and house prices to go up, then he reversed that, and he's basically been putting interest rates up over the last 2 or 3 years in order to deliberately create a recession, and that's something that he says. That's not coming from me.
Yeah, he did.
And has had and so we've had 13 quarters of interest rate increases prior to the rate starting to drop, and they got to as high as 7.3%. So now finally they're coming down. So the question is, what does it mean, as you say, to first home buyers? It's mostly good news. So it's good news. Let me caveat that. It depends on who we get to replace him in that role. So if we get somebody who's got a better handle on the role and pays less attention to woke policies and, you know, some of the stuff that he's been doing to save the world with climate change, and actually focuses on bringing interest rates down, which is the job, then
and he
then
also
you will
didn't
see
introduce some Te Reo Māori as well. There was all sorts of things he brought in.
All of that, and increased headcount from about 140 to I think to 430. Actually, no, sorry, that's wrong. That's the number of people earning over $100,000. No, so it's way more than there's way more than that. So it increased headcount quite dramatically.
Yeah.
So what will happen is you get somebody who's actually focused on doing the job, which is to keep inflation between 1% and 3%, which will bring interest rates down. Then that's great news for first home buyers, because it means that they'll be paying less and that they can actually start thinking about getting into the market again. But it's a big if. It's a question of who, because this is Nicole Willis, it's her role to decide who this should be. It's a question of who she puts into that role and whether that person is up to and suitable for the role. I don't think one of the issues I've got. Sorry to interrupt you. One of the issues I've got with this role is I don't think a lot of Kiwis actually understand just how much power this guy has. He actually, in some ways, has more power than the government. He has the ability. He's independent. He's not aligned to government policy. And he solely, or him and his board, make the decision as to what happens with interest rates and how the financial markets are regulated. And that's an awful lot of power for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing.
Nice. No, for someone that doesn't know what they're doing. And you mentioned Nicola Willis. She was, she heavily criticised Orr. We know that. So she's, dancing around her office. So you said it depends on who.
I can see that in my mind's eye.
I can see her doing it too, and then facing the media, being all solemn and saying we wish him all the best. So you said what?
I didn't see that.
Oh, I think she did. I think she said, he's made the decision and off he goes. And then but what the path might, you said it depends on who they get. The path's already set, isn't it? The mandate for the RBNZ, and you did say it's been simplified. Keep inflation between 1% and 3%, and maintain financial stability in the banking. That's your mandate. That's what you've got to do. Yeah.
Forget about your Kareo, forget about your climate change and your wokeism and all that. Focus on the actual job.